Okay, people, I tried to record this video quite a few times. There's another one regarding a Paccar. Two things. One guy asked me, can you explain more in detail what's whistling in the Paccar? Because apparently he has the same problem. So somebody commented, you can tighten the stop bolts. That might solve the problem. You can tighten those bolts. That might solve the problem. If not, you don't have to unhook the turbo. Like, you can leave it way it is. Just unbolt this 4 bolts on the top and leave the turbo there, and then disconnect your EGR piping, and you can remove the exhaust manifold that way. What happened with exhaust manifold, there's a it's 3-piece, so you have real thick steel, real thin, and thick again, and I think it's 3 individual ones, gaskets. I'm not remember exactly. And what happened is the thin piece in the middle will burn up and start whistling. Once again, if you want to tighten it up, it might help if you snug the bolts out. A lot of time it's not. You actually have to change it. So it's actually pretty easy, but I run into that problem. The dealer could not figure out what's whistling. They thought it was the EGR valve. We changed the EGR valve and sensors, and then I was thinking it's this, there's a gaskets in between, so we changed those, and come to find out it actually was way in the middle, in between, underneath it, which you could not see it where's leaking from, because it was really small, so it would not leave a lot of black residue from carbon exhaust. So that's usually where the whistle, really high pitch whistling noise coming. Another thing, if you do have one of these engines, you have a EGR problem, so it's constantly trolling you, saying it's EGR, doing some whatever, and then you replace the EGR and you come in with the same problem. Lots of people don't know. Let me walk on this side. So right here, it's easy to see, comes into your intake horn after when the fresh air. There's the sensor. So this is the EGR differential pressure, and right here is the screws. You can take those screws off and clean them out. What happened is, this EGR coolant comes in, this gets built up full of carbon, and those ports to differential pressure, they're not reading anything, and it will throw you EGR code. So you need to clean those out. You actually can take the sensor off and you can see how much carbon is. There's a little secret how to remove this bolt. So this little thing, they are Allen wrenches. They come from factory with the Loctite. I have no idea why, but they do come with the Loctite. And you need to remove the sensor and then grab a torch and actually heat the bottom of the this thing right here. Heat this up, and it will then the plugs will come out fairly easy. So if you clean that out, there's a sensor right here, which is your boost sensor. It's after the EGR comes in, and this is the lower sensor. This sensor likes to get plugged up with a full of carbon. I never owned one of these engines, but the more I learn about them, they are very fairly simple design. I mean, it don't looks complicated, like you need to figure it out. But once in a while, this bolts right here, which is the 4 horns, and this damn line, which is hard line for the AC, you be able to take this off and you will see it be built up full of crap. And once in a while, it's a good habit to actually clean them out. The reason this engine, which is a DUF engine, they are much better in overseas, which they came in and then they renamed the Paccar. In the DUF engine, I don't know exactly where, but this EGR tube, it actually, before it goes in the intake, they have like a filter which changes every 50 to 30,000 miles, and American trucks for some reason don't have it. And then this truck had been sitting here for a year, and it came in, we thought it was a head gasket, and I'm really attempting. I think the problem is in the air compressor, because this sucker is known for blowing a head gasket on air compressor, and it will act like you have a blown head gasket on the main engine. And I really need to get this thing started and do the test on the coolant for the carbon. and then we will figure out if it's actually sunk sleeve or blown head gasket, because the truck ran perfectly fine and then start creating worse leak. And what happened is it start blowing water out of the overfill cap, which is, this is your fill cap, and there's on the other side the overfill cap. So really short, brief video, but like I said, people were asking me, and I will stay on top of the Paccars. If you want to subscribe, I'm not guarantee you it's going to be like consistent once a week or something like that, but we'll I'm kind of learning regarding these engines because I work for the UPS, and that's what we have. But we have Kenworths with the same exact engine Paccars, and I kind of start messing with them more and more. And for me, it's a learning process too. And when we do have a problem, I'm kind of trying to dissolve the problem, figure out what's wrong with it. And regarding those cleaning those, taking those plugs out and clean them out, because we changed the EGR, we calibrated EGR, we couldn't figure out why it was throwing the codes, and then to come to find out there's actually a ports, and we cleaned the ports out and the truck actually runs fine. So what happened is that sensor could not read. It was code, I don't remember the number it says, but it was something to do the delay flow of EGR. That's what it was. So thanks for watching all. Paccar once again, which is right here. Stay tuned.